looking to the future with the next big trends that we have coming in AI, as we make this shift from generative AI systems like LLMs being so effective, we are getting more and more into agentic AI, where we're trusting those generative systems to work independently as opposed to just be called upon by us to provide some information. Yeah, so agentic AI, or what are the kinds of shifts do you see in the future, and how does that relate to the security efficiency trade-offs that we've been talking about throughout the episode?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to observe that the space of applications around LLMs and AI is very quickly not going to be, oh, there's an LLM, there's like an application, we just have to like protect that. That is a part of a broader system of potentially agents. Seems like more and more the narrative of how the market is evolving into making use of these models. And what that means from a data security perspective is, again, we need to think differently about, oh, everything's just going to live on a system that's going to be right next to where the data lives. Because if you've got agents, those agents are dealing with different data sources. They're potentially different places. Some of them will be on-prem, some of them will be in a private cloud, some of them may be in a public cloud served to you by an application provider that needs to run things multi-tenant in order to make their business model work.
Mm-hmm.
So suddenly the thinking of data exposure among these systems will need to be different. And I think it's not just us that is innovating in this space. There's a lot of innovation actually happening in the homomorphic encryption space. And it needs to be considered, where is it applicable? In fact, I think it was just a few weeks ago, Apple announced some new homomorphic encrypted versions for things like information retrieval that they're embarking upon. And there are bits and pieces of the problem that may be solved with being able to do something in homomorphic encrypted mode. In fact, stained glass itself is a great application to run in homomorphic mode. Because you can imagine, if you're taking plain text information and turning it into a transformed representation, doing that operation under complete encryption is fantastic. Because you do that in a completely homomorphic manner, but then you release the rest of the computation that is potentially very complicated and it's challenging to implement it in homomorphic fashion to run on whatever hardware is accessible and most efficient to run that. So when you ask the question of what will data security look like, I think data security will need to involve in these agentic systems in more complicated use of models as components of a larger system solving a problem. We'll need to focus on, where do those different components run? What are the acceptable exposure parameters of those systems in terms of the data you need to send it to? And how can you manage that in a programmatic manner? And stained glass, we believe, is a big unlock for that sort of broader system, and needs to and will combine with these other technologies.
Yeah, and so tying into something that you discussed earlier in the episode, you talked about when doing research, you want to be looking ahead to problems that are 5-10 years away. And you just highlighted there again a way that the kinds of solutions you're developing in Protopia will solve the problems of the future.
Yeah, and we look really deeply into partnerships in order to facilitate delivering these kind of cutting edge solutions in the fastest manner. I think one of the things that we see across the ecosystem is that from the largest of the businesses that have made all of this possible, all the way to the startups that are very active in this space and building a lot of very important technology, partnering and being able to deliver broader solutions is really essential to actually delivering value. And so we've spent a lot of time, again, across the stack, from the infrastructure provider to the builders of the foundation models themselves, to the application providers building on top of that, finding ways that we can unlock the use of data from the topmost user all the way down to the infrastructure that needs to crunch on that data in order to create value. How do we plug in across that stack is a big portion of being able to, again, deliver the larger value that the industry really does need to survive.